Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unk and Market Monk. Morning, P. How's your week?
Oh, it was good. I managing a lot. Ended up selling most of the rest of my MDB on that on that
Yeah,
move,
bingo.
and some of the DCA stuff's been going really well for me. Just managed to get out of end phase green again. Keep a little. I'll add more if it drops. That kind of deal. But um, some slow movers, but overall good week for me.
Yeah, pretty good week on all fronts um, over here. Some stupid ones that I got a lot of time left, and then some other ones that were pretty easy that I don't. Stitches and figs, I got a lot of time left on those where I want to get as far as taxes go. But great solid moves in those charts, kind of doing their own thing, especially through these current market conditions where most things are pulling back. And then, yeah, some longer term stuff. Victoria's Secret's probably the biggest winner for me as far as the percentage goes here lately. But getting that when it was low and managing it right kind of shows how the management part is most important. Because there's a lot of other positions like in my $100 stocks where I got the trade right, but I just didn't get the sizing right. But I mentioned those because those are also a good move there. When you buy something, you're like, if we make it back to $100, that's a good trade, and it's 130, $120 now. Um,
Yeah,
sounds like two good trades to
yeah.
me.
Dollar stores were like that for sure.
Yeah, that's what that and
Yeah.
EL are what I have down there as far as those go. But yeah, just great week overall. But you have the pullback and then the retrace, and if you just buy green and sell red, you're not going to take advantage of that. But if you scale in red and sell the fat green candles, as you say, you do just fine in these conditions. So sideways with range, never bad. Um, got some good longs over the last few weeks. I said it Monday. I don't think I got enough, or maybe it's Tuesday. I was like, I didn't get enough. I was a little bit light, but um, green trades are green trades.
One of the things that I think really emerges in these conditions, and particularly with crypto's been good to trade as like a scalp look on the option side in particular, but you really have to have a level in mind. It doesn't even have to be like rock solid historical level. It could be kind of a short term option driven kind of thing. Coin at 250 was like that. MSTR try to do something at 180 late in the week, but point being that you cannot wait for confirmation of that level and then buy into that move. Like every time somebody bought into MSTR, 183, 4, 5, your calls down 50% in you know minutes if you're doing weeklies or whatever. And I just think it's just a good example of a sector right now that doesn't have a catalyst, and it's just gonna they're just hunting out liquidity, and it's just not really where you want to be is in terms of trying to swing something, and especially option side. So I uh, I just see people, you know, you get used to Bitcoin beat over 100 and holding that for so long. It's down here. Well, it's like, well, it's got to go back up there. Uh, it probably will, but I just don't think you can really time that. So one of the things for me, like lately, is quick hitters on stuff like that. But options more generally that for the ones where I do have some kind of idea, some kind of thesis, like let's just say it's like natural gas. Um, I still want to get out of the options on the strong moves up, and I also don't want to fully exercise the thing and end up with 100 shares of it. So I mean, you can just sell and then you can buy shares wherever you're currently at, and you're much better off than sticking in the options and just constantly hoping for more, because time is just so against you. And I think that's going to be a big theme, that you want to you got to get time on your side. Whatever your strategy is to do, it's the time of year where you really need to do that, because a lot of these setups are March and beyond, and there's going to be a lot of stagnation and pullback before they really juice up those positions. So when we say, like, when we're early, being early, you have to make sure that you're not losing money while you're early, that you can't even average down to get out of, which is what options are all about.
Yeah, the a lot there, but time is shares. I wrote down right there at the end. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
that takes care of that for me, and because I don't have that, the option stuff going against me. I'm with you on the what you're saying about the market pullback being slow, kind of figuring itself out. I mean, expecting that, and bigger picture for me overall. Um, I mean, it's one of the biggest skills I have. Is, I mean, you've seen it this week if you're in the room, and maybe even over the last few weeks, just knowing the conditions and being able to predict those. I'd rather be able to predict the market conditions than price movement. It's just way more important. It really is, understanding what the day is going to look like, and if there is, liquidity or volume or whatsoever. But why I'm being a little long winded here is when the market's slow, you need to be in investor mode, and when it's kind of, like it was in August, where it's not really hot, but it's there's no selling, you kind of are directional. That's the time to swing, and when it's hot, when it's like super super hot, that's the hardest market for me to trade, to be honest, because you just got to hold on to what you got. Your entry the next day is always going to be higher, and it's hard to do. And how that relates to what you're saying is that you cannot trade options in a slow market. You just can't. And I
Yeah.
think when you can turn options back on, it needs to be closer to that hotter market, than the slow market, and definitely on the other side of, just the grinding or directional market. But in general, circling back to the whole point of that in Unk's normal fashion, is the biggest skill for me or you is just knowing the current market conditions. I mean, if you couple that with the sectors and a thesis, even more better to you, but just understanding how the market's going to work today. You can't jump in a river and try to swim upstream. It's just never going to work for you. And it's just multiplied in the option side.
Yeah, and it's because a lot of the options trades that are there are uh, just oversold recovery to equilibrium. If MSTR is down 4 or 5% at open, yeah, it's probably going to recover 2 or 3%. The problem is that recovery is slower than the drop.
Yes.
So so that doesn't really work very well,
Uh,
because the
Only for
you know,
shares.
the premium movement starts going against you, and all that. So yeah, I mean, you can scout puts, and I do that sometimes, but it's very hard. The whole setup isn't built for that, right? So I could like reconfigure everything, and do like bearish filters and all that stuff, uh but no, I prefer for the bearish look in a stock to be the thing that keeps me away, instead of the big opportunity. Um, it's just a smaller window of solid, sustained short setups. I just don't really care for it. But yeah, it's okay to not do as many options, or not do them every day, or you definitely do them differently. Um, it's not one of those things where you can have the same process every day, but you can't have the same outcome every day, and it's just not the market's not going to cooperate in that way.
I don't think many people, and I don't want to get on a negative thing, but I don't think many people have a process that is outside of clicking buttons, or that step
Yeah.
2 or 3 isn't
Right.
clicking buttons, and if you've been wasting time, you need to start there. And shout out to Money Boys, to be honest, because even that little I'm just gonna read the news first every day is a good start. Besides, like, what's the price? Buy it, because that was what it said a month ago. Like, it just not going to pan out for you. Ruffling papers over here. I cleaned my office this week. Found some really old stuff, and when I used to write paper notes for like my session, and number one on my list is finally mentioned opportunity, but opportunities only. And opportunity is just a set of circumstances that make something possible. And, we talk about emotions a lot, but you have to have that thought in your head and what those circumstances are, and master finding those circumstances. And I mean, we can relate it to like almost anything in life. Like, you don't try to do X, Y, or Z if it's not the right. Like, you don't try to California stop the stop sign if there's cars around, right? You don't roll through that shit.
Yeah.
You stop.
Right.
So you just
Yeah.
have to understand the circumstances, and I think
Right.
getting back to the logical stuff is important, and I'm gonna start doing that. But it is important. I think it's what you master because you're so analytical in that regard, if that's the right word. Where you just it has to be in line or you won't do it, and um, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I wanted to say that. So
Yeah. No. Right. And I think I mean one of the things that I have learned over time is and I've mentioned it to you before. It's like I kind of I I see this move is likely, but I'm not going to bother with it. I made the money for that day, or
sure,
the upside is just not, the risk reward isn't. It's like, you see something, and it's like I could I could make $500 on this, but I could lose, you know, 250 if I'm wrong, and it's going to be very fast, and um, so I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have 500 upside when downside's 75, $80, and maybe the 500 takes longer, and maybe I only get 180 out of it, or whatever, whatever the numbers are. But that ratio, right? You talk about the ratio all the time,
mm-hmm.
and I think that um, even for like a quick day trade or a scalp, like it's helpful to have that ratio in mind, and just see enough setups where it's like, okay, I don't need to do this. And in particular for me, the hardest setup for me to trade is pre-market green rather than red. So the coin or whatever, it pops 3%, pre-market. Um, it's I mean, you could say, oh, I'm just gonna wait for the pullback in the secondary move. Well, it's just such a 50-50. Like, it'll take off up 7%, then it might close the day red. That whole sector is just so wild right now that and I had been on it for months, like almost every day, um, having success with just 15-minute, 30-minute trades early in the day in that. But just seeing things kind of change. It's not going to hold this move. It's not, but it's not going to retrace this move. Probably, it's probably just going to keep dropping. Okay, then you get a put. Oh shit, it just took off. Like it gets too chaotic for a stock that you know really well. And I keep using that phrase hero ball, because kind of the sports background. Like, you don't you don't want to do that. Like, you don't want to just go out like, I'm good at this. I've kind of mastered this stock, and I'm just gonna run with it and play the chart that I see. But I'm 70 points ahead at any level that I'm familiar with. So don't go trading in the dark just because it's a stock you trade all the time. So that's just kind of what I noticed this week, and it wasn't just that one guy on Twitter. I see a lot of people with constantly on coin, and because it recovered a little, it's like, all right, here we go. Gonna hit 300 again, and it's just not the right. I mean, what's the story? And we'll get to this when we talk crypto. But what exactly is going to move crypto right now? where we at. And I think to me the better stuff, and this maybe will transition into the boring conversation, but the plans that we had on natural gas and oil, taking another look at uranium, steel, and copper, and all of that, to pay off. And the conversations we're going to have today about restaurants and conversations we've had about beer and makeup and the mall and like all that stuff, it's like, okay, here it's coming around, here we go. And you have to be ready to move on to some new things, to revisit things that you've haven't talked about in months, and to finally manage the positions you've been building up over 6 months in natural gas and whatever, and know, okay, well, what am I going to do with it now? We are over $5 in natural gas. What now? And I think kind of that's kind of where you need to be, instead of going into the market every day and like, I'm going to make $150 scalp and spy today, and I'm going to do it tomorrow, and then I'm going to do it the next day and the next day. Like, I I don't think that is going to work. That works for most people. It doesn't fit into their lives well. Market's not going to cooperate with you. So um, I think if you're struggling at all, you got to put in more work than you're doing now, but it has to be the right kind of work. So, and that's what I hope we can do, and that's what I'm constantly trying to think. How can I teach this a little better going into
Yeah.
next year? That's a big plan for me. But yeah, so that's kind of a long rant, but anyway, that's kind of just what I'm thinking. Learn to use the work. I'll try to deliver the work in a way that's usable.
Yeah, just some basic stuff. Um, the circumstances in this situation really stand out to me, and identifying who you are, what you are as a trader, and um, if you're a day trader, especially in the option side, man, those daily levels, pre-market high, pre-market low, yesterday high, yesterday low, maybe your 20-day um, daily volume profile. Those are just key. And I mean, what I do, I don't know if y'all know this, but I do day trade when the opportunity is there, and the opportunity comes usually through the market conditions, and that we just talked about that. Um, I'm more of a swing trader, and what's important to me are those historical volume levels, and a little bit of fundamentals. And then if you're an investor, man, I mean, I haven't been pounding these fucking tables for 6 months on the 200 and 500, or excuse me, the 50 and the 200. I haven't. I mean, it's that's what it's for. Because if that's what you want to do, it's going to be important. Those are going to be your biggest and best opportunities, or at least where you just need to make a decision on that, and just to keep it vanilla. Um, to the kind of the smaller conversation there, or the smaller topic, but more prevalent. Theses are important, man. That's the best thing I ever got from you, and I think they're important even if you have stupid ones. I mean, in the last 3 months, I've given people Snap. I mean, what the fuck was that? Like, that was just fun. And why is that important? Because if you're thinking about like glass batteries or nuclear fusion and fucking semiconductors and how many it's gonna take to do AI, you just get so emotionally invested in that shit. And it's just funner
Yeah,
to what last week I said, just trade the elements with the A. Or 2 weeks ago, whatever. How's AAAR and APA doing? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
get a fucking basket, and keep having that, like, being able to find where your mental can relax so you can fucking focus on some things and understand what you're doing is really important to me. And I think that's just missed. I think that's missed. And I mean, we've had the conversation about a little critical of what we do, but about like taking your note and my level, or my level and your note, or grabbing your note from 6 months ago and my level from today, and trying to put that shit together for a trade that neither of us would ever enter. Like that just is not going to work. Um, yeah, and I think that's not. I don't think that's what we're doing. That's what we force. That's what we put out there. But I do think it happens. I do think people are up to their own devices. So figure out who you are first, and I don't know, just wear that as a badge so we can say, you should be focusing on this or that. Because if you're an investor, it's the fucking 200 and the 500 on the weekly and the day. If you're a swing trader, it's RTL with a fundamental accent to it, making sure it isn't a bad oversold. And if you're a day trader, just pay attention to your volumes in your pre-market and your yesterday levels. And it's that simple for
Yeah,
me. Our
absolutely.
notes are good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to do a little 5 minutes on restaurants, man? I know I brought that up
Oh
before
yeah,
we
yeah,
started
sure. Yeah,
recording, but
yeah,
man, I'm a swing trader. I don't know if I just said that somewhere in there, but maybe you guys didn't pick that up. But the fundamental part on them and the charts where they're at, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong if they stay in business. And in most cases, those names like, I mean, you see the Wendy's Burgers and Fred Meyers. You know, they're going to be those names that just the name gets bought in the long run, even if they do
yeah,
close their storefronts. Some of them you got to look into them a little bit more because they actually own the real estate, which makes it a whole different kind of play. Man, they're just getting in a horrible spot. And to be honest, P, I did really well with this last airline dips, and I'm getting a little bit of, confidence that I could do this for these really good sectors. So, where are we at with
yeah.
restaurants?
Oh yeah. So a couple of so for me, restaurants have kind of fallen into there's like three categories of restaurant trades or setups or whatever. Like I went ahead and entered Jack before earnings. I'm just like it's just too cheap, and
Oh,
I it wasn't options. It was just shares, and it popped here, and I'm like, all right, now we're moving. But again, you kind of look out, and it's still in trouble, and could still trace down. Wendy's, I've just been buying it under $10, and so these are kind of in the dumpster, but they're not really closing locations around where I live. I mean,
oh
I
no.
go by probably 6 Wendy's on my way to work, and I don't live that far from my job. Just along the little highway there. But Jack in the Box too, and like maybe taking on Del Taco was a little much for them or whatever. But I think that those will restructure and be fine. I you know you have to always just keep in mind when you're in investor mode that um, McDonald's is king and gonna stay that way. You talk about the real estate. I mean,
Yeah, that's them.
watch the movie about them and you'll see that whole deal. But
Yeah.
this is the one to in long term, and I am and all that. But anyway, so one of them is the fast food stuff in the ditch. Um, I do I want to stay on those. I want to keep on those and DCA.
But it's the
Not
whole
not gonna
thing.
hold full.
Do you see it as the whole thing though? It's fast food, fast casual, and even the sit downs.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah, I'm getting to
Okay,
those.
okay, sorry.
So for the um, fast casual in a different situation. Some of them are kind of in a different situation where they had a big pullback and have bounced. Now, I didn't catch Eat. I did catch Wing and in Texas Roadhouse. Let me get off the weekly here. Um,
I'm going through them,
yeah,
P.
so
You're good.
I caught Wing pretty much at the bottom there. But these can kind of stay there for a while. I think on my end, this is where the share construction insider ownership, like Wings, a very kind of
Yeah, one one oh
low
eight.
float. So I think that the fast food and fast casual um, will come out of this. I think it's going to be different, for all of them, the how they do and the extent to which they do. But a couple that I think that you want to look at, like Kava has the best opportunity for a kind of a clean retrace upward, and
Yeah.
CMG to some extent too. But the ones that kind of get kind of gappy and you can sort of see it, you can just see it right here what this could do, and then I just look for flow to for flow to line up. So there's 4 to 6 month setups in some of these. Some of these will be years. Like Wendy's, I think get things figured out. Could be upper teens or 20 or something like that. But but this one $80, $90, 110, something like that. Like that's more kind of plausible on the short term uh, to me. And I don't know if the macro sentiment about people eating out or spending money, changes things. I still look to anything with like delivery and cash and all that stuff. Some of the better opportunities might be there and for like serving robots or like whatever. But yeah, I think the big classic names are ones um, you want to stay on, and there's an opportunity to just build positions over time. And this is where our the focus of our work, I think, should be on. Yeah, we like this one, but what kind of trade is this? And what's the option setup? If the RTL, like if we're like just underwater and well below 20-year levels, we should be talking about what is the option setup need to look like to punch through that. And otherwise it's just going to middle around and you know up and fade and continue the downtrend.
Yeah, the I guess the focus for me on stuff like that is there's going to be winners and losers in that sector. I mean, it's being left for dead by the market or by them or they or whatever. Perception is they're left dead, and
Yeah.
that punchline on Twitter comment kind of sticks that you always say with them.
Mhm.
But I think there, if you have a basket, which I've seen this with gold and silver, oil, the flipping quantum computing, learn how to spell a new word even through that, and all that stuff. Um, the basket overall is going to be a winner. So like
Yeah.
picking one or two names, um, I don't think is I think you're better off with just the basket and the DCA over time. But currently, that I'm with you on the flow side. Like that has to be the spark or what gets you really to start in the sector. When you see that 1-2 punch, so to speak, or the all right, they're trying to do this over the next 4 months, and if they do that, then this is where it goes type thing that you usually find. And haven't seen it yet. I have a couple for last five that we'll look at today, but um, I mentioned that because of that basket effect that I think most people miss. Um, and yeah, most of those names should not
Right.
get out of that hole that they're in now, whether it be buyout
Well, if you
or just market sentiment changes. Go ahead, P. Sorry.
look at something like Red Robin, and so I'll just look at this initially. I'm like, okay, what do I like about this? Well, been here before. It's popped off these levels a couple times. I would look to you kind of for some decision about prices and things like that. The thing I don't like is that the steep decline off that move was a little too soon, and in the way that it didn't hold seven or flushes below, like seven didn't stay relevant. And I hadn't even looked at this in a while, and I think that like for me, the flow at seven would have showed up on its own if it was gonna if it was gonna hold or defend itself. I got out of this on the initial pop, so with coming back to it, but that's pretty. It's kind of soon for it to drop again like that, and so then I say, okay, well, kind of where we at, and when I call this up, you're not going to see a ton of option activity even on a good day with this one. So yeah, you see like 700, 705C open interest, 60 on the day, like not much going on there, but
To me, that's
so
good.
need a little more.
That's good because when it comes back, you're gonna know.
Right, exactly. That's kind of where I'm at. So it is one of those where it's an anomaly in that where's the January? They slowly already moved it to March. So they quietly kind of rolled a lot for a loss or whatever. So I don't make a lot of the December So it's all 5C 7.5. Where's that going to go? So when they flip this on, when they juice this up, I'm going to see it. Even if it's the way I have things set up, if it's a day where there's 100 contracts traded, just as an example, okay, that there it is, and so then I know to watch that one, and then we go from there. So yeah, I think for me individually, um, being such a big sector winner for me in the past, you know, Wing, Texas Roadhouse, like Eat, and all those that uh, yeah, I'm definitely on it, and I think it's it good time of year. Semester's closing out for me. That I do want to have kind of a comprehensive game plan for what we're gonna do with restaurants, and how we make up that basket. And we just were talking about this. Someone asked me about the concept of the DCA dumpster
Yeah, yeah, it's
from
great.
6 8 months ago, right? And I was, so I was like, can I have the list? I'm like, yeah, I'll share it. I gotta cycle some of these out and put some new ones in. I mean, and you can just look at this and you could tell. I mean, even stuff like Twilio, Roku, but Dollar Tree, Dollar General, and heck, AG wasn't $15 when I put this in here. Intel wasn't 41 when I put this in here. W wasn't 95. So it's like over and over. That Yeah, gonna be a lot of restaurants in this thing when we reconfigure it. So I definitely look forward to doing that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent. Let's get into boring stuff after this for sure, but I'm a big proponent of
Yeah.
making watch list just for that reason because you'll make so. I mean, once you get to 10 or 11 or 2 or 3 years in on the watch lists making, you'll look and go, man, if I'd have just bought those and did nothing, and either you like to fucking run the rat race for nothing for a little piece of cheese, or or you like the whole sandwich while you sit on the couch. I mean, you just
Yeah.
figure that out. And oh, I did want to say this too on that regard. Like that's just how like the trading works. I forgot exactly what you're saying, but I used to like want to make $1,000 a trade. Like I just square peg round hole it, right? Like buy 1,000 shares, let the
Yeah.
fucking thing move $1. I just want to make $1,000. I do way better, getting a piece, playing the percentage, and if it's $237, so be it. If it's $645, so be it. If it's $80, so be it. But just playing that percentage over and over again and letting those bricks build. Um, it's a lot easier, and it's a lot more profitable than just trying to get to a said dollar amount. Eight out of 10, P. 8 out of 10.
Yeah. No, right. And I
Okay, wait. Can I
something that
can I
had
say
been.
one more thing there? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Eight. Best easiest way to get 8 out of 10 because fucking people are thinking I'm not gonna trade 8 stocks and close them all green. Why don't you just scale out three
Okay.
times? That's 3 green trades.
Yeah. No. Right. Exactly. And
Fuck.
I know.
Sorry.
One for me. One for me late in the week. And I had the same thing with Spotify. Where like, and this is my second round with Ulta, but I bought after that uh, this level failed the first time. I started buying it. Kind of got back out, got back in again, and I mean, you talk about scaling out. I mean, fucking things are $600 a share now, so the scale out is one, and
Yeah.
I had five, so it's like, but still, I mean, it felt pretty damn good, honestly. I mean, to just you know, it's yeah, it was like $67. It was higher, when I sold some, but per share or whatever. But when your average is under 400, um, it feels good to see that move to the cash part of your account. And so
That at MDB
but yeah,
220 to 370 ish for me was a fucking
yeah,
great trade, and I only had what 12 of those, 10, 12 of those, I think, and luckily it popped, so I had most of them for the most of the move. But Yeah, those are easier. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
they're just easy trades. We'll use the work.
yeah, exactly. And if if your broker does fractional shares, you can do it that way if it makes you feel better. If you you don't want to just do it on a dollar amount, instead of these big chunk shares like that. I honestly, the fractional share thing, I use it more for buying than selling. Just it's easier for me to DCA if I'm not doing it 360 bucks at a time in Ulta's case. But it's like half share here, half share there, and whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm the scale in, scale out thing. Find a way to do that. It definitely is. It
Mentally
changes
helpful.
things.
Yeah, it's just mentally
Yes,
helpful,
absolutely.
and you learn how to use it to your advantage. It's a tool. I mean, for me, it's like
Yeah,
jumping into a river with a floaty. If you're not scaling, you just wherever that river spits you out at, it's what you fucking get. And I'll jump into the river with a canoe with a paddle. I can kind of guide myself down that river because the market ain't a fucking straight line. It's up and down. So yeah, boring
yeah,
stuff. Sorry, boring stuff. I can do that all day. Read the
um,
room's coming back. I just
yeah,
need
yeah.
to. I just need to find time. That's what we're doing over there, though. I'm gonna yell at
So,
people over there.
uh, copper. I was right about copper so far, but yeah, I heard like somebody was writing, bro, like copper hits all time high, and I'm like, where are you buying your copper? We're not quite we're not quite there yet, but it's yeah, the $5 validation and pop out of that and everything. There's all kinds of theories about copper and what it means, the global economy and uh, all of that. So, I mean, if you want to be an economist, you can talk about copper um, way. But as far as the trade goes, it's a healthy environment for some steel trades and aluminum,
Aluminum.
and this is where flow wise, whales are gonna go, kind of put some feelers out and get into some of the smalls that have been ignored for a while. That they aren't in the ditch, but they could juice those up for a pretty nice leg up. And if you want your 20-30% share side, it's probably not going to be FCX SCCO right now. You missed the bottom on some of those, but
No,
but
I
there's
didn't.
some smalls. There's some 3 to 5 smalls and some 8 to 12 smalls and stuff like that you'll probably see in the notes over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, no, good call there, Pete. Totally not relevant, but I bought a golf cart this week, and the guy was strong arming me for a couple $100, which is fine because it's nice. But I told him, all right, I'm just gonna go out to collect some cans and steal some copper wire. So it's good to know the stuff because you can tell good jokes like that out there. But yeah, good call on the move, P. I paper handed SCCO since we can talk about that one now. That $100 another one of them should be $100 stocks. It's 120, and I just walked away. But yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'll say too, this is where South America gets relevant, and some of those are in the ditch, and so I think you'll see some of those and popping up too, here and there. Silver, $60. I don't even know, not much I can say here. It's
Hey,
just
hey, P
figure your
is
taxes out here.
is fuck is silver fuck. Don't even mention that. I hate taxes. If it's gonna suck. Is silver be $100?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Um, I you gotta know that drives the ship, but man, you can help power the engine. And Professor definitely drove the ship here, but I hope I powered the engine a little bit, not only in the silver in the first place, but the secondary move we're about to get. So yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah, and there, I mean, when with like something like AG, uh, there was a time when it feels like that thing was dropping every day, and
Yeah, I was telling you to buy
there
it every
was
day.
just yeah, and it would you to stay on a plan there and just DCA and then keep some, or if you got off of that one, you had a chance before Mux and Poss and all them took off to get into those.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so yeah, all that worked very well. And um, same with gold. Gold very well could punch through up here. But again, I mean, your shot on gold, that little 4,000 est and the wicks below that. I mean, that was a spot for it. I wouldn't really mess with it up here as it tries to break out. I'm not a breakout trader like that anyway, but particularly in metals, I don't really mess with trying to do that, to be honest.
Did
But
your
I'll
all
continue to read it. I'll continue to find stuff.
did your all-time high ass loving chart just say you're not a breakout trader?
Well, I mean,
Wait a minute. Time out.
um I well, I guess I look at oil and metals differently.
Yeah, no, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
I
with you.
mean,
No,
like
it's usually some
different on in
shitty.
here,
It's usually some low
and
float stock
I'm
I've never heard of that's running, and it's usually
yeah,
not in a metal.
and I'm not. I don't like it. I guess I'm thinking share side. I don't like doing it share side.
Oh God, no.
I even though it seems paradoxical, but the all time high charts are options trades for me only, and it works for me. I mean, because I kind of know how the premiums are likely to move in those things, and um, just yeah, it's not comfortable to buy shares up here. I'll just say that.
Yeah, no, no way.
Um, and all right, so then my favorite one of the moment, um, natural gas. I almost think you got to go to the weekly to really appreciate what's going on here. Let me see here.
6-7, sir. 6-7 for the kids.
Yeah.
For the kids.
Yep. So this, I talked about how it was healthy the way that 3 stayed relevant, and we were just hanging out for a while with that, and that I said like the real price on this thing 5 to 7, and that we were gonna get into that. So yeah, so here we are. Combo names are they maybe didn't go to the moon with natural gas on this move, but they're going to be more stable and sustained in their move up. So like where we are there. Oil, hasn't really done much, but still look for lots of opportunities there. I think people who have equipment and pipelines and transport and all that, that's still sort of where my focus is, along with there's some large caps in a pretty good spot too. So you'll keep seeing oil for me.
I'd like to
It's a
take.
different
Go ahead.
trade than semiconductors. Obvious point, but you have to trade oil much differently than most things to do well.
I'd like to apologize to everybody. I did say Rig was probably going to come back one more time to that 350 level. Um, it's probably not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I say like equipment and leases and all that, that's I know that's the one that comes to mind for sure. And but expect to see new names from me. That's kind of been the trend in oil too. So a lot of those do pretty well.
I didn't
The
even.
first time I bring something
I
to do
didn't
well.
even believe in theses back then, but I had a thesis on that thing, and it was just hold this bitch till 2026.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, good stuff there.
And then I'll just quick China pulse check. Yeah, I mean, it's all things China firing up for me right now. So trying to figure out the best plan there. Honestly, I mean, my strategy was I'm just gonna mention China and see what Unk lists, and then I'll probably buy those. But like it's because it's flow wise, it's like I can see all of it, identifying what I see as as the best one from my filters isn't always easy to do because they're so dispersed across different sectors. So it's a little more haphazard as a flow read than than reading copper or something like that. So, but big opportunity there. Size accordingly, but there's some smalls going to move 50, 80%.
Yeah, last week I said,
And
last week we were talking about it, I said I got some names. I'm not going to mention them. Um, they're all on that list this week, and the list I made, I was pretty much the copy paste list. I was going through notes, and I had one in, my regular list, and I put three in after five, and I was like, I'm not going to do all China after five, and I went and looked at that note, and it was basically everything I already had. So except for one that got added. So yeah, just always early is a style. Love to see it come back. That's a confidence builder for me. P. The more it just doesn't go away, I've learned to make sure you trade it.
well, and I'll say too that I I'm not real big on theory of cycles with crypto in particular. I think conditions are different. It's not always going to play out the same, whatever. But I will say that it's happened many times where if our market's kind of stagnant over here,
Mm-hmm.
um, China fires up, gets going, and that prefigures a move you're going to see in our market a couple months from now. So that's something I'm mindful of. If China gets hot, that U.S. names will follow and get another kind of a fresh setup instead of just what we're in now, which is just kind of messing around with all time high and selling off and whatever. But um, yeah, so that's something I'm mindful of with China too.
Yeah, way better on levels. I'm with you on all time highs.
Yep. All right, and so then 10-year real quick.
413. That was our number. That was like our
Yeah.
equilibrium number. So I'm glad we've been. I watched it all week, and I was like, it's just in my head. You come up with a plan, you write it down, take a little note, see how it's respected, and that 413 was it. So still kind of in a downtrend on it. If you go from a TA standpoint, which that fucking 50 cents probably won't get you a cup of coffee. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
the stability is there that you want to see. We haven't mentioned it yet, but rate cuts this week. As long as all that goes according to plan, everything should just be good here. Which flat is good here.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I think we kind of stay in this channel, and you wouldn't want to like dramatic breakdown from 4 to 380 or something. You don't want to mess with that. And okay, so then
Sorry, one more thing, Pete. What I liked
coin.
about this chart or talking about this chart is like when we do bring it up, it's kind of from a couple step back, and people aren't trading it, so they will look at it a couple steps back. But when we were like talking
Yeah.
about it testing four a few weeks ago in that dip, it wasn't like, oh my god, it fell and died. It's like, no, this is just the consolidation around a level, kind of showing the tolerances of it, which we talked about that recently. It's just good in that because of how slow moving it is and not really manipulated on a day to day basis.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And you will see they're like stress tests
Yeah, yeah.
that play out over 5 to 7 days, and it's yeah, it's healthy and normal that they do that. So I'm with you there. All right. So then I'll get into crypto. All right. So that kind of short term uh, bottoms that the 84 area is been something that we've tested a couple times now, and it bounces off that, kind of tries to do something. Sentiment is still pretty shitty in crypto right right now, and a lot of over leveraged people just keep losing their ass on this thing, and even they never learn. I mean, they'll chase this last move, over 90, and got wrecked again. So that's gonna keep occurring. I I think a lot of altcoins Most of them need to die before kind of figure out what's next with this. But Bitcoin and Ethereum will probably be the ones that last. And I would look for the trend to continue that Ethereum's going to, lag behind Bitcoin. It's this is one of the things I sort of agree with Sailor on, that there's only one game in town, and it's Bitcoin until we get your U.S. dollar eagle thing you talk about. Like,
Yes.
until that they figure that out, Bitcoin is kind of the one, and so from our perspective, obviously the trades off of it matter a lot, but it's the combo stock thing. We talk about that with gas and oil and natural gas. Well, with this, it's this company does some Bitcoin mining and they own some Bitcoins, but they're a data center stock, and that's going to matter a lot. And the other side of it is the services. Can you make money when crypto's dropping? And Coin can, Hood can, Square and PayPal can, and so those, you're sort of better off there. And then for volatility, the treasuries. The treasuries have the most risk, and so sometimes the most reward. But BMNR and MSTR, like, those are the two that I'd probably focus on personally. But opportunity there. Don't hang around. No hero ball, whatever. But there's some ways to approach this as an investor. But as far as the drawdown, this could be the beginning of it, not the end of it. So I'd be mindful of that. But if Bitcoin did as a 6, the price starts with a 6.
There you go.
I'd probably, you'll start liking some stuff if we get down there. So hopefully it happens, to be honest.
Piece of shit ass pet rock. I'm not going to dismiss it because it's tradable from angles. But man, I told y'all. I mean, just because I know the chart doesn't fucking mean it's good. P nailed it at the end. I thought he was going to leave it out. Just look at like the year. There's a chart out there. You can probably find it on fucking Twitter. I don't care. It shows like the year percentage on Bitcoin, and it has some really good years and some really bad years. And the bad years, I focus on those because those are the opportunities. I give a fuck about 100%, 200% move on a year. Like, yay, victory lap, good job. But the pullbacks, those are the opportunities, and they're usually 60 to 80%. They're big. So simple math, 120. Yeah, down there around the 60s is where, I mean, not where you would think a good value, but where you just expect it to go with the normal trend of Bitcoin. I'm on the other end. Mara 10, you could have traded that for 20%. Seen it a million times. I'm just waiting for the signal to come from you as those charts set up again. We'll trade them for a percentage. Thank you. Then where the real value is, you stated, so I won't reiterate it too much, but it's the ones that kind of pivot and do the data center thing, or just find another sustainable business that's actually something more than a pet rock.
Yeah, and I think some of those, that's some really solid management that they had to, because you look at when they pivoted to that. It's like we had this big run in crypto, the Trump pump and all that stuff, and we made some really good money in that time, and now we can redirect that to the data center thing without having to do a bunch of offerings. And so they did well with that, and then you get to a point where those stocks pull back, the ciphers and IRENs and things like that, and their fundamentals actually start to look decent as they reconfigure their business. So yeah, you got a lot of time with those, but there'll be some big opportunities in that space.
Perfect.
Do we want to talk about SPY for me?
Yeah, always. At least for a second.
Right. Yeah. Do a quick quick check here.
Y'all panic at 660 or no? Okay. All right.
A lot of there's a ton of dead open interest gonna off the books here. At 12/12, 12 budget at 12/5, 12/12, 12/19. So so all this December stuff's gonna just be gone, and so it's 640 March. There's a 645 March now working its way up there, but that essentially is like the same contract. I mean, it's not really much of a difference. So so this still needs some kind of companion, and we're at the point. What I was looking for weeks ago was for something in January or February that would bookend this. But now I think it's probably going to be later. It's going to be May or June, and so that's kind of what I'm looking for, and it's going to be like 660 something or 660, and I'm just waiting on that to show up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't expect pullback here. You know, probably the Christmas pullback like you usually get, but it's just going to stay inside the range we've talked
Yeah,
about, and taking advantage of those opportunities. You also have the S&P 500 kind of the pivot where they rotate in, rotate out, and that just naturally helps it because some funds we talk about every year, but some funds have to buy stuff that's included in that. It's what your thing says.
yeah.
It just says you have to do that, and so you'll get a lot of buying in that. We're on a couple of names already that are included, so um, yeah. I think you do the lack of better terms, or so we have some familiarity. The three up, two down, but really not going anywhere. Just kind of seeing it last week. I caught it last week. I think we're going to get it some more. And then really quiet around Christmas. Um, and hopefully the flow comes in around then a little better. So we know if it's going to be the hot start to the new year or sector driven like it has been years before. So I'm
So yeah,
fine. I'm fine because it's readable. P. We've
right.
seen this for 4 months. So as long as it stays in that, I mean, it's not what we want. It's just eggs when we wanted an omelet, but I'm fine with that. We're still gonna eat.
Yeah, I can't even tell you the number of stocks that you don't want January to be dominating the flow right now, because to me that's just maintenance. They're the January positions. They I need to see them move in that somewhere, and then I have to see like what they bought with it, and so that January kind of centric flow at this stage of the year uh, doesn't really tell us much. I mean,
Well,
I mentioned a couple weeks ago, it's kind of time to start winding your year down, and there'll be some opportunities here and there, but you want to be thinking about you know uh, late January, February, March, like where we're at and what we'll be doing, because we'll be back at it pretty heavy then. And but for now, if you just see me post flow for just January, um, it means I think this one's pretty good, but unless it has something with it, it's not going to be a great setup.
I think the maintenance also leads to another word, which is control. They're not going to maintain something that they don't control. What
Yeah,
we're looking for, what I'm looking for from your notes, is those new positions or those positions where they can't hide that are newly opened to for their trades for 2026. Um, I understand currently that a lot of those guys, like, you don't do anything when you are positioned well and you profit. You do manage the trade. So I'm looking for those new positions to start trickling in.
yeah, absolutely. And I'll close just with one quick example of control. So Adobe, which I've been on and doing the painful DCA thing for a long time now, and the you got a decent move, a decent pop here, but I mean these whales who've been driving the car on this and taking the reins, if you think they're just going to go ahead and run this back to 437 from here, uh, you're crazy. They're like, we're not gonna make that easy for you. We're gonna move in and out of this, and we're just gonna just continue to build and accumulate
Shake you
down
out.
here.
They gotta try to shake you out. Oh,
Shake.
you
We're
got
gonna shake.
25%. You want it? Oh, you're back to 15. How about 30?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're back to 18. They're gonna try to
yeah.
shake your
So
ass out.
it's I mean, not that they really think about it this way, but they're like, I've been building this thing for for months, and you owned it for 2 days. Screw you. You're not gonna make easy money here. And they'll sell you some calls and all that stuff. So it's yeah, it's not one to chase. And like for me, um, yeah, I sold some on this pop. I've been building this thing for a long time to get an average well below this. So hell yeah, I'm gonna gonna take some off the table. But but yeah, I mean it's not the time of year where you're gonna get some clean gap fill on a stock like this. So all those ones that I talk about that have the deep in the money puts and synthetic longs and and all that stuff. Yeah, they're gonna make some moves up. Green to close the year and all that, but it's not time to dream big on something like them. So I mean, this move might just be setting it up into earnings, and we might just go right back to 320. So just keep that in mind too.
Perfect. Good stuff, P. You ready to get to work?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Perfect. Like and subscribe. Link somewhere, people.